What's up, everybody? Back with some more Overwatch stuff for you guys. They actually put out a mid-season update patch today, actually a few hours ago, at least I'm recording this, and we got actually a decent amount of balance changes. We got a skin collaboration with Porsche. I don't know who asked for that and why that's even in the game. We'll talk about that. And how much those skins probably cost. And then we got a few ranked changes and a few updates to ranked, like mainly quality of life changes, so got a few things I wanted to break down. I just kind of want to do like a quick patch notes breakdown for the mid-season update for you guys. So there's not going to be too much on screen. If you guys want to tab out, listen to me talk, I'll probably throw some gameplay in the background. That'll be completely fine. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. Really appreciate it. Keep on showing support to these type of videos, and I'll keep on bringing you guys away whenever we get a new, like a major update that actually has a decent amount of stuff to talk about, or like a new season drops. So you guys want to see these patch notes? They're actually on the Blizzard website. There was actually, the patch notes were actually down, and they actually had to update the link to the patch notes because the Blizzard website actually went down for some reason. So those of you guys that probably tried to look at the patch notes earlier and wondering why they weren't loading, it's because the Blizzard website was down. So you should be able to actually access them now, though. They actually fixed it. So we got Overwatch 2 collab with Porsche. The first thing I don't really care for is like, already, like, why are we getting a collaboration with Porsche? I really don't know. Do they, like, what is the benefit to Porsche actually collaborating with Overwatch? Like, I really don't know why. Like, what do they think that an Overwatch, your typical Overwatch player is going to be like, oh, well, Porsche, I forgot about them. And they go out in actual IRL and actually go buy a Porsche. Like, one of the most expensive, some of the most expensive vehicles they can buy. Let alone electric vehicles, which are garbage. I don't know. You got a legendary Porsche Diva and a Porsche Farah skin available in the premium shop. I'm sure those are at least probably $30 to $45 each. So if you guys want a $30 to $45 Diva and Farah skin, go to the shop and by all means waste your money on it, because that is one of the biggest waste of money on a collaboration I think they've ever had. And they must have really paid Blizzard well to have this. Porsche must have some deep pockets, because man, they must have paid really well to try to get a collaboration with Overwatch for whatever reason. I don't even think this really does anything for Porsche, if I'm being real. Maybe like the last few collaborations, like with whatever it was, I forgot the last two ones. The One Punch Man collab, and there was the other past few ones. I forgot what they were because I never bought any of the skins, and they were all garbage anyways. But like, at least those, like, you can see like some mutual benefit between both of those for like both games and like both things, or not games, but like both type of franchises and like whatever they're trying to do. Like with this, I don't even see any benefit to Porsche at all, because your typical Overwatch player is probably a loser. There's a few that just spend money on everything that are actually rich, and you got your pro streamers and like your pro players that have millions of dollars to spend. But like your average Overwatch player is usually like a broke college student, so I don't know who's going to be going out and buying a Porsche off this collab and going and buying one of their vehicles. I have no idea. Let alone an electric car. Some of the worst shit ever. And the real shitty thing is, they actually, if you guys actually pay attention to their social media, they actually posted a video of, like, I think it was Aaron Keller and a bunch of the other Overwatch, like, huge Overwatch streamers and collaborators that they actually pay. And they must have paid them really well, because like a lot of the big streamers and content creators actually got invited out to Porsche, I think it was HQ or something, or one of their manufacturing places, and actually got to test drive a bunch of the electric vehicles that they are currently producing. And they actually, like, the electric vehicles are so fast, but like in reality, like all the electric vehicles are going to go really fast because they don't have like the delay of a gas engine. So I don't know if they really even know anything about vehicles anyways, let alone probably like electric cars. All they really know how to actually do is just take money from Blizzard and be a Blizzard shill. That's pretty much all the large content creators and streamers do. If you guys want to go see that video, I think it's on their X account. Go look how ridiculous that shit is, with how they record the reactions of an electric vehicle, then going really fast in an electric car. I doubt that any of those people actually know anything about vehicles, or like anything about cars anyways, let alone electric vehicles or anything like that. They see a car and like, oh, I'm going to get paid to drive in this car and make a few goofy reactions for a video. They're paying me really well. Okay, deal. No morals at all for a lot of the big pro players and like the bigger community streamers at all. And that's why I say a lot of them are garbage, because they're just a bunch of Blizzard shills that are getting paid by Blizzard. Whatever Blizzard says, they're gonna push an agenda. They can never have their actual own opinion, and if they do, then they don't want to ruin any ties with Blizzard, or they don't be too critical of the game, because otherwise they'll burn bridges and they won't get their payday. So why I don't hold any bars back. I'll if there's something bad about the game, which usually there's a lot of shit that's awful about the game. I'll tell you guys, I don't give a shit what they give me, or whatever they think. I'm not getting nothing from them anyways. They ain't paying me, so I don't give a fuck. And they don't even give me any free skins to test or anything either, even though I'm a content creator for the game. Let alone a Nintendo Switch content creator, which I don't even think there's any other Nintendo Switch content creators at all. So even then, I think that'd be great to even for them to try to work with me, or at least try to do something give me free skins or early skins or something. I don't know, to showcase for you guys, and they haven't even done that. It's Blizzard, because I don't really care. They're too busy giving their money to other people. Competitive play updates. I know it's gonna be somebody in the comments. Oh, all you do is sit and rant and complain. Why all you do is complain? If you don't like it, go watch some of the big pro players and some of the big streamers. If you like just constant positivity and them shooting rainbows and sunshine out their ass about the game every single update, because it's not. The game's pretty damn bad. There's a few good things for some of the patches, but the majority of the stuff is usually going in reverse and making the game worse, or not improving anything at all. Competitive play updates. The motion protection modifier. The motion protection modifier has been moved for below the ranked progress bar itself to improve visibility when a player is in promotion or demotion protection stage. When a demotion protection occurs, you will not be told when your progress is below that skill division's range. If you lose your demotion match, your skill rank will adjust to show only the adjustment for that match, instead of on the net total that the match adjustment of the previous match. I'm not sure how that exactly affects the demotion type thing. We'll have to wait until I say that in game, because I haven't checked that out yet, but I don't know if it really matters that much. I think it's more of a visual quality of life change, if anything. Pressure competitive modifier. This rank modifier appears for players who are in the far end's overall skill distribution, so your really top tier players. For players that are very low ranked, like bronze, this modifier will show when you earn more progress for winning a match, or drop less progress for losing a match. So I don't know. This mainly is for your higher tier players. I don't think it really matters for your average tier players like me and probably most other people. For your 24/7, 365 streamers, or people that just play the game non-stop every day, all day. No lifers. Grouping restrictions. They're changing the grouping restrictions. I'm not going to really talk about this very much, because usually I'm a solo queue player, and this doesn't really matter, but unless you're in your higher tiers of play at all. So Grandmaster can now group within 3 tier divisions, or within 3 divisions to be considered a narrow group. Champion now group within 1 division to be considered a narrow group. I don't know what it was before, but I heard there was a lot of matchmaking problems, because it would take forever to get matchmaking if you were in a certain group. So maybe that's why they're changing it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it very much, because that's for your top 1% of players, your people that just sit and play it nonstop 24/7, 365, no lifers. Matchmaking updates. When a player is currently on a loss streak, the matchmaker will try to avoid putting the player on a team that is statistically calculated to have a lower chance of winning. This is something I don't even know why it wasn't a thing to begin with. You're meaning to tell me that this was not a thing to begin with? They weren't actually trying to help you, and if you were in a losing streak, to actually make it so you end your losing streak and give you a little bit more of a lenient game. I know that this goes to show you that the new rank system was majorly flawed with Overwatch 2, and why we should have never switched from Overwatch 1 rank system. Because that rank system is even still a million times better than the current one we currently have. Awful. Don't know why that was not even a thing. Why was that not even in the game until now? And then you go on there's games that you'll go on a loss streak, and this is one of the only games that I know of that will genuinely punish you for going on a loss streak. If you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, it will actually punish you as a player for going on a fucking loss streak. I don't know any other game that actually does that at all. It'll actually subtract more points and punish you further for losing multiple games in a row than actually winning, which is crazy. And if you actually win multiple games in a row, you really don't get any benefits, which is really fucking stupid. You still get pretty much the same amount of points, even if you get like a 2 or a 3 win streak most of the time, which is really dumb. Why does it matter for losses, but like when I win, I don't get any benefits from it? I have no idea. That's still really dumb. That's why I ranked in this game as a joke. Hero updates. Armor has been reverted to provide a flat damage reduction of 5 per projectile up to a maximum of 50% DR. Out of combat health regeneration changed from 20 per second to 10 per second plus 5% of max health. So you're going to be getting a lot more out of combat healing, and they changed the armor changes, so everything that has armor is going to be a lot more bulky, so that's great. As if some of the armor tanks already that have armor, even some of like the other supports that have armor, weren't already good to begin with. I don't think they needed really that change at all. Tanks. Rule passive. Tanks will now have 25% damage reduction against critical headshot damage. Knockback resistance increased from 30% to 50%. I don't think this really even matters for a lot of the tanks. I think it only really matters for the ones that are kind of easy headshots. So, like, they just nerfed Orisa, but, like, they're giving a huge buff to stuff like Orisa here, because Orisa's a pretty easy headshot tank. Same with stuff like Roadhog. I don't think this really does much for Roadhog, because he's still probably the worst tank in the game, along with, like, 1 or 2 other ones, especially with the anti-heal passive being reverted last patch, or, like, for the start of this season, but... like, there's certain ones in the game like that are pretty easy to headshot. I think Sigma's another one that kind of gets a benefit from this. There's a few other ones that are really easy headshots for certain heroes in the game that kind of benefit from this, but I don't know. The majority of them, I don't think it really does much for them at all. If you're a tank, like, you get the majority of the damage you're going to be taking is usually, like, just overall, like, body shots, especially, like, in the most of your tiers of play. This only really matters in your, like, your higher tiers of game where everybody's just headshotting everybody. I don't know. I don't think it really does that much, if I'm being right. I think that the main problem is we need to go back to 6v6. I think that's the main problem with the tanks. Or just to completely remove the entire, like, DPS anti-heal passive. I think that would be a great step in the right direction, too. Because ever since they brought that back and they increased it back to 20%, tanks just fall over and die instantly again. And they feel like absolute shit to play. So I don't think it's really going to do much to change tanks at all. Junker Queen. Commanding Shout can now be activated while using other abilities. Cooldown reduced from 14 to 12 seconds. This still isn't going to make Junker Queen good. You want to know why the reason why Junker Queen's always going to be pretty damn bad and never going to be, like, super viable, apart from maybe it's, like, average at best? It's because of the anti-healing DPS passive that she can never get out of. She's always getting affected by it. And she is always a tank that relies on getting close to do most of her damage. So, like, long range, you're pretty much fucked, similar to stuff like Roadhog and Malga, which are... Malga's way better, but Roadhog's kind of in a similar situation of being garbage. And, like, the other thing is, like, she has no shield, so, like, her Commanding Shout still has way too long of a cooldown and doesn't give you nearly enough shield for how much damage there is in the game. A lot of the damage numbers, especially when Junker Queen was first put into the game with Overwatch 2, a lot of stuff has actually gotten their damage numbers buffed from the time she was put into the game up until now, and her damage numbers kind of stayed the same. So a lot of stuff does more damage to her from when she was actually put into the game. Like, the Commanding Shouts never really got buffed, it's always gotten nerfed. The only time Junker Queen was actually decent was when she was first released, and then they nerfed the shit out of her, and then she was never the same, so... I think she was also a tank that actually, if we go back to 6v6, I think she would benefit greatly. I think Junker Queen's one of those tanks that would dominate 6v6, but 5v5, I don't think she'll ever be really that good. Unless they give her, like, some major changes to her Commanding Shout and give her, like, a huge shield and, like, reduce the cooldown further, or, like, buff her damage or something about her. I don't think she's ever going to be really that good. There's too much going against her to make her, like, not that good, so... which kind of sucks, because I think she's a really cool hero. Sigma no longer requires line of sight to enter to the center of the effect with the Graphlitic Flux. Whatever, I don't know if that really does that much for him. More of a quality of life change. Wrecking Ball, they're buffing Wrecking Ball. I think this is a bit too early to buff Wrecking Ball. I think it is. I know I've seen some really good Wrecking Balls in my games recently. I think people are starting to really learn how to play them. Finally, after the rework. I don't know why we're buffing them. Really bad choice. Another terrible balance changes from Blizzard. What a surprise. Can't be a patch without terrible balance. Pile driver, lockout duration from enemies increased. So they buffed that. They buffed the grappling claw damage. Why? Don't know. Increased the damage of minefield from 130 to 165. Why? Explosion knockback increased from 5 to 10. Why would they bother? It was already good the way it is. Why are we over buffing Wrecking Ball for some reason? I think the real reason is they don't want to rework a hero and then have the rework be perceived as a failure. I think that's the main reason. I think it's more of a balance ego thing for the balance team and like a public perception type thing. I think that's what it really is. Not to actually balance the game, but I think it's more of they don't want people to think that the rework was overall a failure. I think that's kind of what it is. Even though I think people are starting to first now learn him and actually do really good with him. I don't think he needed to be buffed at all. Sorry, gravitational surge. Reduced her radius increased from 6 to 7 meters, and they increased the duration by 3.5 to 4 seconds. Whatever. I don't know why we're buffing Zarya, because she's one of those tanks that if you buff her like any way, she becomes one of those tanks that just runs the game. So they got to be really careful with any changes they do to her. Do not like any buffs for Zarya at all. I hate playing against her. Junkrat, they're actually buffing his damage. Damage increased from 40 to 45, and a total from 120 to 125 for a direct and like an indirect. So they're buffing the damage by 5 for each. Don't know why we're buffing Junkrat's damage. I think it's still really good the way it is. Another balance change that I feel like we didn't really even need. If they want to buff a DPS, like I think they should be looking at stuff like Symmetra and like McCree. I don't know why they're chucking the Junkrat. Same with Echo. Like Echo is one of the best DPS in the game currently. Like why are we buffing Echo again? Ultimate gain multiplier while in her ult, while transform increased from 4 to 5. So she gets her ult a lot faster when she's in her duplicate form, or whatever she copies. Round of applause to Blizzard, making one of the most unfun heroes to play against recently. That's already incredibly good, even more of a cancer to play against. That's fun. I don't like playing against Echo. I think she's really unfun to play against. Especially a good one, so that like they're constantly either getting a pocket by a Mercy or they just never die the entire game. Hanzo, I don't know why we're buffing Hanzo. I mean, they buffed his ult, which I'm fine with, but like if they buff anything else about Hanzo, we're gonna have a problem because I think he's still incredibly good. The guy is an absolute like headshot burst damage bot. I don't know why we're buffing him at all. Still incredibly good. Another questionable balance change, which is really weird. And then we got a buff for Brig. This is actually the only buff that I actually agree with like this entire patch, apart from like the Junker Queen buffs, which I think still do nothing. But like this buff is actually pretty good. Now Rally now resets shield bash cooldown upon activation. Solid quality of life buff. Wow, one or two balance changes out of this entire mid-season update that are actually decent and actually make sense. I don't know, you're kind of striking out, Blizzard. I think you guys are I don't know, past 3 strikes at this point. You guys should be sent back to base. Or back to home plate. Got some bug fixes, whatever. I'm not going to go through all these. If you guys want to check out the bug fixes, they're on the patch notes. There's a lot of stuff that isn't even here either. I feel like Sombra is also like dominating currently again. Just mainly because a lot of the stuff that checked Sombra got either nerfed or changed. And like she's also another real benefit of like the DPS passive. The one thing she struggled with was not being able to 1v1 stuff and get them, especially if they would get healing. Now that it's back up to 20% again, like she's back to being dominant. I don't know why there's no Sombra nerfs here. There's no Venture nerfs at all. She's still one of the best DPS in the game. No Roadhog buffs, no Winston buffs. I don't know, there's a few supports in the game. I think Ana could use a little bit of a power shift, get rid of her, like shift her kit from her utility and put it more into healing. Life Weaver nerfs, like there's a few other things I would actually change with the supports. There's none of that shit here at all. Kinda lacking. And the stuff we do have, it's just stuff to throw into the balance patch for no reason. Or like the changes don't really even do much at all. So, I don't know, kind of a disappointing mid-season update if I'm being real with you guys. Not really too much here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I don't know if you can really expect that much though, because it's more of a mid-season update, not like a season patch. So there's not going to really be as much, but with how bad the balance is of the game, you'd think there would at least be more balance changes here. Especially for stuff like Sombra and Venture and a few of the other things that are just running the game currently. I don't see any of that here at all. So I don't know. Same with Malga. I think Malga needs to be nerfed again. I think he's probably back to being probably one of the best tanks in the game again. Even with the DPS anti-heal passive being reverted, I think he's still incredibly good. I don't know where his changes, where's nerfs to Malga. I don't see that here either. Lacking a lot of stuff, especially balance-wise, and it just goes to show you they don't care, or they don't play their own game. Or they're waiting for next season, and by that point they'll change a bunch of other random stuff, and we'll be in like a new game patch again where we'll have a bunch of other random stuff that's broken, and then it'll take them 3 months to nerf it back to being balanced, and then we'll have another new problem, which is the cycle, rinse, repeat for Blizzard, it seems. Especially throughout the entirety of Overwatch 2. I don't think it'll ever be fixed until we go back to 6v6, or the entire balance team is either terminated or replaced by somebody else that actually knows how to balance the game. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys like the video, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. Got a bunch more stuff on the way you guys not want to miss. Appreciate all your guys' support. Apart from that, I'm gonna get everything. Thanks for watching, everybody.